really just throwing things out here, trying to figure it out. But Brian Kennel playing Blue-White Flash or Prosac Control, whatever you want to call it. It's very, very similar to Prosac's list. It may be a card off because I can see that there are 2 copies of Sphinx's Revelation in Brian's deck, and Prosac only ran 1, although wanted a second one. So, you know, he obviously very much influenced by Prosac's build. And yeah, 4 Snapcaster, 4 Augur of Bolas, 4 Restoration Angel, 2 Rune Chanter's Pike. The only sorcery speed spells in the deck are the 4 Augurs and 2 Rune Chanter's Pike. So yeah, it looks like we're gonna see. I mean, he's even down to the 1 rewind in the deck. It's very much.
That card's a lot better in this deck than I thought it would be. Interacts really well. I mean, obviously interacts with an instant speed deck, Flash, what have you. But like a lot. The thing about this deck is it doesn't have a ton of hard counters.
Sure.
You know, it has Dissipate, Essence Scatter is a hard counter for creatures, obviously not for spells. Rewind is awesome, obviously, with what this deck wants to accomplish. You know, counter spell, untap my lands, have the shield still up, still be able to Restoration Angel. I've seen people get a second activation off of Moorland Haunt because of a rewind before, which was pretty awesome.
Oh, sweet! Yeah,
I was pretty surprised by that. So, rewind, you can't play a ton of it because it costs 4 mana, but it is a nice card to have like 1 or 2 copies of.
Yeah, I don't think I've played with that card since it was in like Saga Standard or something like that. Like,
yeah, that card is old school.
Yeah,
rewind. It's old school. I like that card.
I love that they kept the old art too.
Me too.
Just kind of, and that way you don't have to get new ones. I mean, you have to get a new card frame.
I have to get the new card frame.
Yeah, there you go.
So what's going to be interesting in this matchup, you know, it's mid-range versus a blue-white flash deck, and it's been a little while since we've seen like a pure like counterspell end step deck like this one. So it'll be a little while since people have really played against this kind of deck. So for blue-white mid-range, you have to pick your spots appropriately and figure out what cards to play against. The last time we've seen a deck like this was like Fairies and Standard, like 3 years ago, where it's all about picking your spots and figuring out what card the opponent has in their hand and playing around it appropriately. This deck has about as many instances as the Fairies deck did.
Sure.
Back in the day.
It's pretty similar to Fairies. I mean, there's no Bitter Blossom, but other than that, it's very, very much a Fairies-esque deck.
As we see, the players are underway here. Brian leading with a Hallowed Fountain, Dino starting with Glacial Fortress into Sulphur Falls. So off to a slow start. I mean, Dino's deck isn't the kind of deck that's really going to, you know, put Brian under the gun at all. He's a slow deck.
And Brian starts with an Augur of Bolas. One of the few times you're going to see him play a spell during his own turn.
And you're going to see.
Did he whiff?
He did whiff. He had Snapcaster 2 lands. Hallowed Fountain and a Moorland Haunt are going to be put on the bottom here. Now, for Brian, I mean, casting Augur of Bolas is, like, as you said, one of the few turns he's going to tap out. But this leaves the window open for Dino to play a Geist of St. Draft, which is a huge, like, a very difficult card for Brian's deck to deal with. But Dino does not have it.
Yeah, Dino plays Slayer Stronghold, passes back.
Oh, Augur.
Augur on the beats, on the attack.
Rarely seen.
Jumps over there and stabs Dino with that trident kind of thing it's holding, right? Brian Thought Scours himself.
If we're seeing a Thought Scour here main phase, what it likely means is that Brian doesn't have a 3rd land.
Yeah, and he draws it off
he
of
does
Thought
now.
Scour. Hit, I believe, Snapcaster, and was it another Thought Scour that he milled away, or was it a Think Twice?
Oh, it was a Think Twice.
Okay, so Think Twice, Snapcaster, Thought Scour in Brian Kennel's graveyard there.
Dino off to a really, really slow start this game.
Yikes, yeah. Plays a tapped Glacial Fortress and passes back.
Can't even represent Restoration Angel this turn, so I mean, Augur is pretty safe to get in here. And Brian, if he has another land, he can put the shields up, but he just doesn't have a land, just going to say go.
Yeah, both players stumbling a bit here early. An embarrassing Augur of Bolas. Who,
yeah, not quite up to snuff. It's really hard for it to miss in this deck, too.
Yeah, it really is. And Brian has another Thought Scour, targeting himself. Restore Resolved. Hits Plains, unsummon, draws a Moorland Haunt.
Yep.
Well, keeps hitting the lands. Alright. Untaps, draws for the turn. hits an island, so now he's good. I think he's pretty happy with that. Plays the Moorland Haunt, swings with the Augur. Got a searing spear for Augur of Bolas. And Brian with an option to save it, but does have a Dissipate. Declines to save his Augur.
Also has Restoration Angel there too, but you know, there's really no. He can just let Augur go. Augur trading for spear is fine. Leave the shields up for the entire turn.
Sure, and he can make a Spirit at the end of turn here too. Just have another 1 power threat, and that's what it looks like he's going to do. Doesn't block as well. Doesn't get hit by Azorius Charm as well, but it still beats as hard as an Augur, and we know Brian does have a Runechanter's Pike in hand. Draws a Plains, so he's got Island Plains, Runechanter's Pike, Restoration Angel, Dissipate, plays an Island.
There's an Unsummon over there as well.
Okay.
Yeah, so he's
and an
just,
Azorius Charm.
Yeah, so he's just content. I mean, again, he doesn't have any reason to move. I mean, Dino's not doing anything.
Yeah.
You know? There's no real rush. This is the thing about Draw Go decks is, you know, he's not in a rush to kill him, as we're going to see a Restoration Angel here. A little surprised that he ran this out here this turn.
And Dino's going to have something to say about it.
Looks like we're going to have some sort of a counter spell here. We're going
In
to
the
see Syncopate.
form of a Syncopate. So that will exile the Angel. And does.
And this does open the window, of course, for Runechanter's Pike to play and equip and get in there.
Yeah, I imagine that's what he's headed for here. And he draws another Restoration Angel like a boss. I'll play Runechanter's Pike. I'll equip the Pike to Spirit. Does Dino have an Unsummon? Does
no
not.
Unsummon here.
He's getting bashed for an extra
Looks like that's going to
4.
be +4, yes.
Yeah.
I have to think twice. 2 Thought Scours and an Unsummon in the graveyard, so it's going to be an attack for 5.
Dino plays a Steam Vents untapped. Must have something going on here.
He's knocking himself down to 10 to do it, so...
And here comes everything, and we're going to see a Thundermaw Hellkite, which, unfortunately for Brian, does not have Dissipate mana up, even though he has the Dissipate. Kills off the Spirit token and bashes in for 5.
He's considering using Azorius Charm right now to put it back on top of his deck. And for those of you guys watching at home who aren't really familiar with playing this style of deck, because again, it has been a long time since we've seen a type of deck like this, you know, it's important for not only the opponent to pick its spots against this deck, but super important for a blue-white flash deck to pick its spots appropriately for when it wants to tap out on its turn. You know,
sure.
Because I mean, hitting him with Runechanter's Pike that turn's like pretty good. You know, hitting him for 5, but at the same time, like he just got hit by Thundermaw Hellkite. Now he has to deal with that thing. Yeah. Being in play.
And he decided to just cycle his Azorius Charm rather than put the Hellkite back on top of Dino's library. So he did get hit for 5. Cycles the Charm. Plays a main phase Restoration Angel here and passes back.
And he's doing that to play around counter magic.
Yeah, and he's got Dissipate mana up now if Dino presents anything uber threatening. Although the Thundermaw is pretty threatening on its own.
Yeah, rather threatening by itself.
I imagine Brian's going to end this turn with 10 or less life, or the end of Dino's turn, Brian's going to be at 10. Because I don't think he's going to block with that Angel. I guess it's possible he could do like a block and unsummon thing, but no, he's just going to take it. Goes to 10. Both players now at 10. Both with pretty reasonable threats on board.
We see the hand for Brian right now is 2 Unsummons and a Dissipate.
And for Dino, well, he hides it just as I was looking. Searing Spear. I believe he's got a couple of Azorius Charms of his own.
Only this is the Detention Sphere we're going to say.
It could have been a Geist, yeah. So, Geist of St. Traft comes down, and Brian, is he going to dissipate it? Yeah, looks like he's going to dissipate the Geist, and that resolves.
And that Geist is going to be removed from game. They have getting the board state correct here. And looking at his graveyard, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep, so he has 6 instants in the graveyard for Runechanter's Pike. +3 from Angel is 9, with an unsummon going to the graveyard. If he chooses to bounce the Thundermail Hellkite, will actually finish this game off if he makes that line of play.
Yeah, and if Dino does not have an Azorius Charm, he does play 4 main deck. So Runechanter's Pike on the Angel, unsummon from Brian Kennel on the Thundermaw Hellkite.
And Azorius Charm isn't even a card he can cast currently.
Oh, you're right. I saw he had 2 mana up. I didn't, when we cut away, I didn't realize it. He did not have access to white.
So, he doesn't have access to white, but he could have had access to white if he wanted to.
Yeah,
There's no reason for him to tap both of his white for 4 Geist the same draft.
Exactly,
so.
yeah. He could have cast an Azorius Charm if he'd tapped his mana correctly, and actually had an Azorius Charm.
Yeah.
I couldn't quite see. He had another gold card. He had 2 gold cards in his hand. Cast Geist, so that was one of them. Could have been a second Geist. Could have been a Azorius Charm. Could have been a Detention Sphere, as you mentioned. He was kind of hiding it. All you could see was the edge, so that it was gold. So.
But Brian Kennel up a game with his blue-white flash deck. Dino's going to be playing first this game. I know you have his deck listed in front of you. What the sideboard?
Okay, so he's got 4 additional counter spells in the form of 2 dissipates, 2 negates. I imagine he wants to bring those in. He's got Supreme Verdict, not really what he wants going on against a deck that plays just 12 creatures and usually just 1 threat. So that's not something he wants. He could use a Detention Sphere though. He does have those main deck, but he has a 3rd in the board. I can see him bringing those in. He's got Sundering Growth, which could come in handy just as a one-of. And Purify the Grave, maybe. He does, it is a Snapcaster deck. I don't know. What do you think of Dungeon Geist? I think that's a pretty good answer to a deck that's typically only having 1 guy on board.
I mean, it's a decent card. I don't really love it tapping 4 on my turn just for like a 3/3 flyer that trades with Restoration Angel. Also, Unsummon being in Brian's deck list.
Yeah.
Seems like it's pretty easy to blank in all honesty.
Sure,
Just
yeah.
not make as great
Plus
as he could.
Restoration Angel.
Yeah.
So
It
maybe
doesn't really
not
seem
as
like Dino has a ton to board in.
Yeah, I mean,
They really sway this.
everything he has is just kind of like it could go in maybe, I mean, not everything. He doesn't really want to bring in Pillar of Flame.
Yeah.
But, a lot of his board is just kind of average against the blue-white deck. How's the blue-white deck looking?
On Brian's side here, speaking of Supreme Verdict, he does have access to 3 of those. I kind of agree with you though. On Dino's end, Dino's deck is the kind of deck that presents 1 threat at a time. In that regard, the threats that Dino is playing are the kind of cards that you'd want to trade 1-for-1 with Supreme Verdict with, like Ice of St. Draft, like Thundermail Hellkite. Not so much Snapcaster Major Restoration Angel, but Geist of St. Draft is a difficult card for Brian's deck to be able to beat, so I could see him boarding in maybe some number of Supreme Verdicts.
Sure, that makes a lot more sense. I mean, I know he has 1 Geist of his own to kind of answer opposing Geists. If any of you guys have read Adam Prosak's article, that's the only reason he played Geist.
Just to take out
opposing Geists, just because it's too tough to fight. But they were in the board, and he said unless he's like, you shouldn't be boarding in the Geist unless your plan is to clear the way for the Geist.
Sure.
Unless he's like, you shouldn't be boarding in Geist against a non-Geist deck unless you're trying to clear the way for your own Geist.
Sure.
So, yeah, he does not seem to be a fan of Geist of St. Trapp.
Yeah, he does not. I know that Adam doesn't like Geist of St. Trapp in this deck at all, which, I mean, makes sense. You don't want to be tapping out on turn 3. I mean, it's very matchup dependent where that would actually be a good strategy for this deck. Other than that, I mean, he has additional Rewind that he can board in, and I actually think that Rewind would be pretty good here because there aren't a lot of cards that Brian cares about. But the cards that he does care about, you want to be able to have a hard counter for, like Thundermail Hellkite, and other big threats like that. Sphinx Revelation is another one that jumps to mind. He has a Talaran in his sideboard. Not really sure he wants to be here with that. Tapping 4 mana on his turn, not really ideal. Outside of that, I mean, it seems like this is a deck in this particular matchup that blue-white is really favored because the blue-white-red mid-range deck has a lot of answers to threats, but I mean, you don't really care about the answers that much. It doesn't really present very many threats outside of Geist of Saint Trap. Restoration Angel is like a pretty good card, but like you have your own Restoration Angels to blanket and stuff like that. So
you can also look at it like this. Blue-white-red mid-range has been around for several weeks now. Adam Prosak saw it, not only just, you know, like we've all been seeing it, but he's been doing commentary and probably watched it a lot.
Yeah.
And then he built a deck to bring to a tournament where he knew that this was going to be a deck. He's already built a deck that already has a great matchup against something like this, I think. Just on the surface, you can kind of look at it like Adam knew he was going to be facing mid-range blue-white-red mid-range decks. That is a name. Figuratively. Yeah, so he built his deck to be able to, or expecting to face these kind of decks. So I think it's naturally good.
As we see Brian taking a mulligan to 6 here, and I would definitely agree with you. You know, as you said, he's been doing, Adam's been doing coverage, and I mean, this is a deck that's been around since the start of the format.
Yeah.
It's gone through some changes, but it's the same basic principles. And overall, yeah, I think this is just a matchup that favors the blue-white flash deck. One of the things that the blue-white-red deck doesn't do very well is it doesn't really go through its deck very well. It doesn't have cards like Think Twice and Thought Scour to be able to generate some sort of velocity and see a lot of cards a game. You know, what it draws is what it draws.
Right.
Whereas the blue-white flash deck has a lot of manipulation, can get through its deck, find the real cards that it's looking for, you know, set up its shields, and then take you down with whatever it needs to take you down with.
Right.
So, I mean, well, all that being said, you know, if the games don't play out that way, none of it matters. So we'll see exactly what's going to happen as we see a Steam Fence here from Dino. Hollow Fountain from Brian, passing it back to Dino. And again, in this, as we see a Sulfur Falls, it's super important for Dino to be able to play and resolve a Geist of Saint Trap on turn 3. It changes the dynamic of the matchup like crazy.
And I was kind of surprised that Brian had kept that window open for Dino last game, even though Dino wasn't able to capitalize on it. Maybe Brian wouldn't have had an answer for it anyway. I can't remember what was in his hand, but he did like tap out, giving Dino the opportunity to resolve a turn 3 Geist last game.
He actually left the window open again there by putting Hollow Fountain into play, tapped instead of untapped, and he didn't have Geist again. So, I mean, getting pretty fortunate, especially when he had Syncopate in his hand. I'm really surprised that he just didn't put it into play untapped.
Right. He ain't afraid of no Geist, I guess.
Looks to be the case. I mean, it's working out for him.
So it's just land go so far from both players.
And if that's what's going to be happening, obviously this favors Brian a ton.
Yeah.
When neither player is doing anything. And Brian was thinking about casting Augur that turn. But again, he doesn't really have much of a reason to do anything. As Dino misses his land drop this turn. And we see an end step Restoration Angel here from Brian. Looking to bait out a counter spell, it looks like. And it looks like we're going to see a Syncopate here, removing Restoration Angel from the game.
That's how it plays out. Dino keeping the board clear. Passes back. Brian draws Azorius Charm, plays Plains. We see he's got Augur, Azorius Charm, Syncopate.
We're going to see an Essence Scatter.
Essence Scatter on Brian's Augur of Bolus.
I think, again, you just let that go. There's no real reason to fight over that, Syncopate it, what have you.
Yeah, Dino's plan may be just to try to counter any creature Brian has, because he knows the deck doesn't play that many, and if he can keep the board clear, he's safe from Runechanter's Pike.
We are going to see Augur of Bolas miss again.
Whew. So Brian Kennel syncopates the Essence Scatters just to resolve a Bolus, Augur of Bolus that is, again, kind of playing against the odds and missing. That's the second Bolus we've seen miss for Brian Kennel.
We're going to see a steam vents here from Dino coming to play untapped, and the window is open now for him to play something. You know.
We see a Sphinx's Revelation in Brian's hand next to an Azorius Charm, and what's that other card? Is that Snapcaster? Unsummoned.
Unsummoned. And we are going to see Geist of St. Traft hit play now, and this is the card that really swings the matchup quite a bit. And this is, this is one of the reasons that, I didn't really like him casting Augur of Bolas that turn anyway, just because like the shields are down, and it gives Dino the opportunity to resolve a real card. But like he could have syncopated that for a relevant amount,
right,
to counter it. And now Geist is in play. Like yes, he does have a second Augur now to be able to trade with it, but he did have to draw that Augur to be able to create this situation.
Yeah, he just top decked that Augur. That wasn't the plan. And it's interesting because, a Searing Spear.
We're going to see a Searing Spear with the effect on the stack.
And Brian's going to unsummon it to save it. Wow, they are really fighting over these Augurs.
They are.
I'm kind of shocked. First, I'm surprised Brian played it. Second, I'm surprised Dino countered it. Third, I'm surprised Brian syncopated the counter to resolve the first one.
Yeah.
And he does manage to find a Dissipate with the third Augur. If unsummoned resolved, maybe that Augur should be in his hand.
Well, he unsummoned and played it again. I think he missed the second Augur.
Oh, did he miss the second Augur trigger?
Yeah, he missed the second Augur trigger.
Way too fast. Oh, he realized it.
Okay.
He did miss it. Yep. Okay, so
he missed the mandatory trigger.
So out of 4 Augurs we've seen, right? Because we saw 1 in game 1, and now technically 3 here in game 2. 75% of them have missed in some way. I don't like those odds.
No, me either. Yeah. I wouldn't play Augur if that's the case.
Yeah. So Snapcaster Mage from Dino. He's gonna flash back the Searing Spear to take out Augur of Bolas.
And now we have Geist being able to come in unmolested.
And gonna knock Brian to 16 with the Angel. Augur gets in front of Geist, so Dino's happy with that scenario. Brian's gonna have to top deck some sort of answer to the Geist pretty soon. And he draws another Augur. So, I mean, are we gonna see what's gonna happen here? Is he gonna first remember the trigger? All right, you remember the trigger. That's progress. And whiff. Or is that an unsummon?
No, just a whiff.
A whiff. Oh, that's a Snapcaster. Unsummoned's art is dark, and so is Snapcaster's. Oh my gosh. Adam Prosac, why did you tell people to play Augur of Bolas? They all keep missing.
I blame him.
All of them. All of the people are missing.
Yeah, every person playing this deck is missing.
One match. Shaheen Sarani tweeted earlier in the week that he's done with Augur of Bolas, and I talked earlier that I had looked at Shaheen's deck and Hetrick's deck to build my Esper build, and I cut the Augurs because I don't like Augur either. Like in this format, there's not enough aggression to really get a lot of value out of blocking, and when you whiff, it feels so bad. And like, if I'm Brian Kennel right now, I'm like, thank God I at least keep top decking these Augurs so I can get in front of the Geist of St. Traft. But so that's what he's doing. Everybody in from Dino, 2 Augurs get in front of Geist of St. Traft, but Brian takes 6 from an Angel and Snapcaster Mage.
It's a curious attack to me if he was just willing to let his Geist go like that. It's a little bit surprising because now you look at his board position and it's just miserable. You know, he has a Snapcaster Mage against 2 Augur of Bolas, so he can't attack anymore. I mean, getting Brian down to 10 is one thing, but
yeah, you know how you make Augur of Bolas good? Is we talk about him like he's awful, and then somehow like the situation is Augur just cleared the board. Or just attack into it with a 2/2. Attack into 2 Augurs with a 2/2.
And Dino knows that he has Dissipate, so it looks like we're going to fight over this.
Yeah, so Geist of St. Traft number 2 from Dino. And Brian knows that Dino knows that there's a Dissipate, and he's like, well, I guess he's prepared to fight over this. Do I want to throw away a Dissipate here? And apparently, I think, no, he's still thinking about it. Okay. He's doing some math. He's at 10 life, which is pretty precarious. He does have a Sphinx's Revelation, but he's got to worry about resolving it. So I think maybe that's what he's thinking. If you want to fight over it here, I'll get a little bit of life and some cards out of the Sphinx's Revelation.
Yeah, it's basically, do you want to dissipate?
And the dissipate resolve, so he takes care of the Geist.
Yeah, we can have a counter war over this, and if we have a counter war over that, it's awesome. Because then Sphinx is resolving.
And he does find another land just to make the Sphinx's Revelation a little bit better.
You see a little attack here.
Yeah, he's going to attack with one of them. I don't mind that. Keep one back just to hold off the Snapcaster. He plays a Glacial Fortress. And he passes back. It was interesting that the Dissipate War where Dino knew Brian had to Dissipate. Okay, we've got a Detention Sphere from Dino.
Detention Sphere.
And
you got it.
They're in detention. They're expelled from the game.
Snapcaster free to attack if he fears Restoration Angel, which he does not.
Yeah, now here Brian has to go. Do I Sphinx's Revelation? And
well, now he's giving it away.
Yeah.
I think it's time to go for it.
Yeah, and he says, "All right, you didn't counter my Dissipate. I'm gonna hope you don't have a counter spell for my Sphinx's Revelation." And it looks to have resolved. 1, 2, 3 cards stop.
So Restoration Angel and 2 islands are what are drawn off of that. And draw step is going to yield a Supreme Verdict.
I think I'd maybe start thinking about cycling that Azorius Charm just to...
It might be close to that time. I mean, I feel like he's saving it for a Thunderwall Hellkite.
Yeah, could be.
That's what it feels like. That's a
bonfire off the top.
Hallelujah.
And that's for 5. Gonna knock Brian to 6.
And it's also going to take care of Restoration Angel.
Give your creatures lifelink. It doesn't do anything, does it?
No, not quite.
Darn.
No.
Darn.
So, I mean, one of the things is we're going to see... He's going to cycle this.
Somehow finds a Force of Will off the top or something? Is that...
So, we saw him play a main phase Restoration Angel to play around counter magic that turn, which, is reasonable, but I think that the way that Dino has played this game, it's pretty clear he doesn't have counter magic at this point. He tried to have an attempt at the Dissipate War. It didn't happen. So we're going to see Snapcaster Mage here. And then he cast a Sphinx Revelation that also resolved. So the only counter spell that he could have is Essence Scatter. And if he did have Essence Scatter, he would have just cast it. He could have just cast it when he main phased it. So
right. So Brian actually Snapcaster on Sphinx's Revelation, draws 3 more cards and has a blocker.
And gains 3 more life.
Yeah. So up to 7 here. And I think twice Azorius Charm, Essence Scatter, Supreme Verdict, Island. Does that look right to you?
Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty stocked hand if he gets the chance to untap.
Lots of ways to cantrip here. I guess if you call Azorius Charm and think twice cantrips, then less cantrips and more just cyclers.
You saw Dino there reach for Snapcaster Mage, considering trading. And now he's going to move in.
It's open season right here. Brian is tapped out, so we'll do whatever you want to do. You can do it.
All right,
he just goes and trades away the
just says go.
Snapcaster.
Wow.
Yeah, if I'm the guy at 17 and my opponent's at 7, I think I don't need to trade Snapcasters. I guess it's fine. You hope to get in that 2 damage, but
Now we see a Geist of St. Traft. here from Brian, which he bored in just for the reason that you basically said, just use it as a legend, use it to legend rule the other guys.
Right.
From the opponent's deck. But oddly enough, right now, it's going to provide a fantastic clock to get this game over with.
Yeah, and Brian with an Essence Scatter in hand, he also here could potentially swing when there's no blockers declared. He can go up an additional 6 life with the Azorius Charm, giving his creatures lifelink.
We're going to see a Restoration Angel here.
I think this is going to get scattered.
Yep.
Not with, yeah, not right now, says Brian Kennel. Going to keep that board clear.
So Brian is sitting pretty well right now. His life total is a little bit lower than he'd like for it to be. That's 7, as we're going to see an untapped Hollow Fountain here, but he's still sitting pretty well.
Dino arranges his lands in an interesting way where it looks maybe like Thunder. Oh no, okay. I thought I was going to say Thunder Maul plus 2 mana open for something. But he goes with Snapcaster first. Snapcaster Mage.
It can target Bonfire of the Damned, bonfiring for 2 to take care of the Geist of St. Traft. It looks like what he's going to attempt to do. Now we're going to see if this is going to actually work out.
Yeah, Brian could think twice here, maybe draw a Syncopate, which would be ideal.
It'd be a
But
little awkward if he draws Essence Scatter.
It would be a little awkward. I think he drew an island, okay.
Yep.
Not what he wanted to see.
And Bonfire resolves.
Bonfire for 2. And now Brian's going to go ahead and use his Azorius Charm to cycle. Dig a little deeper. Draws that. Was that a.
That's Sphinx Revelation.
I thought that's what that was.
That's a good card.
It's a pretty good card. Your opponent's tapped out and you have like 100 lands. He's drawing 7.
Yeah, now's as good a time as any.
Yeah, I'm going to time spiral here. Myself, draw 7. But I get to keep the other cards and I gain 7 life.
4, 5, 6, 7. Does have to discard 2.
I don't think he minds.
Yeah, I don't think so either for some reason.
He's got a lot of lands there. Discards a Hallowed Fountain.
Or discard Plains, right? Yep.
Yeah.
He's got all the white mana that he needs.
Right.
7 is kosher, and he's going to pass the turn back to Dino. Dino, more of an uphill battle.
Somehow the hill just keeps shifting a little more steep.
Yeah.
Sphinx's Revelation, and then another Sphinx's Revelation, and then another Sphinx's Revelation. This is the third one.
Making it hard on him.
Yeah.
As we see Snapcaster just get across for 2. And just passes the turn back, which obviously is not an ideal turn. Needed to add something to the board. A Thundermaw Hellkite, just need anything to add more pressure to the board.
Yeah, it's kind of comical how Dino's got such an uphill battle, and it's almost it's just so much worse because he's fighting that battle with a 2-power attacker every turn. It's just Snapcaster Mage. Yeah, and we're gonna. Brian's like, I'm gonna Supreme Verdict away your Snapcaster Mage.
I'll trade 1 for 1. I don't mind.
Yeah, I mean, I guess when you draw 7 cards off of 1, seems good. Well, it can't be countered. I mean, you want to flash in a Snapcaster and do something here?
This is resolving, I promise.
You want to blink it with a Restoration Angel? I don't know. Any of that's good. Thought Scour from Brian Kennel. Hits Angel and something else we didn't see.
Mystery card and draws Cavern and says go. So now we're going to start taking it to Moorland Hauntland. Looks like he's searching for a Runechanter's Pike as well to get this game pretty much over with.
This has been a really interesting match. Yeah, we can see
was the other card.
Some Moorland Haunt fuel. And that's exactly what he does. Dino passes a turn. Brian makes a Spirit at the end of turn. Untaps. If you're just joining us, I'm Joey Pasco with Cedric Phillips, and we're coming to you guys live from Dallas for the StarCityGames.com Standard Open. The board state is currently Spirit Token, Detention Sphere, and a bunch of lands.
And a whole lot of lands.
Yeah. Brian Kennel in with the Spirit, knocking Dino Psirogiannis to 14 or 13. Did the life total change yet?
Down to 14.
Down to 14, okay.
So we just see a Hollow Fountain saying go. Now, if you look at Brian's hand, which you guys can't see right now, but he has 2 Supreme Verdicts that dissipate and just lands. So his hand isn't bad, but it's not great either.
Yeah, considering all the cards he's drawn. I think he just cast Living Wish. No. Yeah.
Moreland Haunt is going to try to take this game home for him. He draws Rewind now. So now he's got 2 hard counters, and he has 2 Wraths. So he's got board. He can take care of any board that Dino brings to the table. In addition, two hard counters as well. So
he's got Rewind,
bonfire shenanigans.
2 spirits on board, and little by little, Brian Kennel is inching towards taking this match 2 games to 0. And Spirit number 3 at the end of Dino's turn there.
No 4th Spirit, might be out of guys down there.
No fuel, I don't think. Draws an island, plays an island, attacks for 3. Dino down to 9 here.
At this point, absolutely no reason to hold lands. With Sphinx Revelation in his graveyard, if he does draw Snapcaster's Mage, he can just do that whole show again.
Yeah,
Snapcastering, Sphinx Revelation, and drawing a
ton of cards,
literal
infinite cards. Yeah. Draws a Thought Scour. Imagine that's gonna be cast here.
Yeah, that'll be cast or get more fuel.
Yeah, draw him a card. Maybe dump some creatures in the yard for the Moreland Haunt.
I probably would have cast that on my main phase before I attack, just in case he does run into a Runechanter's Pike.
Yeah, he would have had that much extra damage. I'm sure it would have been 6. I think if he hit a Pike and was able to equip it, the game would have been over there. Or equip and attack, yeah. But he holds that Thought Scour, looks like until the end of Dino's turn, at least.
And Dino taking a look through the graveyard, which can only mean one thing.
Snapcaster Mage.
And we're going to see Thought Scour now on the end step.
He hits Pike here. So he mills away Augur of Bolus and an Essence Scatter, I think? Or an Unsummon? Draws a Runechanter's Pike. He would have hit the Pike.
Yep. Didn't make a token end of turn either, so just going through the motions a little bit too quickly here.
Yeah. Plays Pike. He doesn't really need to make a token at this point, just because the Pike is, if he's going to... One token isn't going to increase the clock. It's the Pike that's going to, and then the 1 token isn't going to make a difference either.
I'm going to attempt to equip my Runechanter's Pike.
Pike resolves. Equip happens.
You see unsummon.
Unsummon from Dino on the equipped Spirit.
How about a Dissipate?
Dissipate from Brian on the unsummon. I don't know. Just this pause makes me think Dino has no way to. It's basically like, do you have something that's going to prevent you from losing? Apparently, something's happening here. Oh, is this a syncopate for $1 billion? I don't even know how much that was for.
It could be a Sphinx Revelation too.
It could be, yeah.
Whatever it is getting rewinded.
It's a syncopate, and rewind. And there it is. Brian Kennel takes down Dino Psirogiannis in 2 games to 0 here in round 3 of 10. The StarCityGames.com Standard Open in Dallas, Fort Worth. That was